When we are navigating the fated window between eclipses, trust me when I say that anything and everything could change. Hi, my name's Haley Comet. Welcome to my cosmic corner of the internet, and welcome to your Magic Monday episode, Eclipse Season Edition. Today we're discussing the astrology from September 23rd to September 29th, 2024, but do know that every other single week of astrology, you can find me here, but do know for every other week of astrology, you can also find a Magic Monday episode dedicated to not just letting you know the astrological highlights, what's happening in the cosmos above us, but what you're going to do about it. How you can co-create with the cosmos, how you can synchronize with the stars, how you can align with the astrology in order to experience more magic within your world, feeling like the universe is working with you rather than against you. And I want to let you know that astrologically speaking, this week is a little bit like Twilight Zone. Not in a creepy way. It just is this in-between, and things get a little wonky during eclipses. We can feel like a lot of timelines are accelerating. For a lot of people, things are quite chaotic. Things are happening and unfolding at a quicker pace. Emotions are heightened. Things are intense. And so when it comes to being in this portal between eclipses, and especially with a Neptune aspect midweek, there could be parts of your reality that don't feel totally real. Feeling around what is real? What is happening? There could be a lot of chaos that is happening around us. There could be a lot of changes and shifts that are happening around us or within us. And when things get hectic and chaotic in this way, you really have to make a decision, and you get to make a decision, right? Because you're going to allow yourself to be swallowed up by the chaos of it and feeling out of control of your life and out of control of yourself and not knowing where things are going and freaking out about it. Or you can shift into this mentality around, I don't know where things are going, and so I'm just gonna try to have fun with it. Like really striving this week particularly to see things from a higher perspective. Because a lot of times when we are so entrenched into our physical avatar, right? The identity where I am Haley and you are who it is that you are, and our 3D reality and the things that we do every single day. Sometimes when those things are dropping away or we're experiencing some discontent, elements that used to resonate no longer do, or maybe for some of you, major changes are happening within your world, it's natural to almost want to cling to what you've known, right? Around, let me cling to this identity, let me cling to these things, and let me panic when I start to feel shifts happening around me. That's option one. But option two that I would encourage you to step into this week is kind of not allow yourself to be absorbed by the chaos, but allow it to be a bit fun around, I wonder where this is going. Being a little curious around it, because it's natural, whether it's kind of like a spiritual tornado that's happening within you, an emotional tornado, or your life is physically in a tornado of sorts. You can allow yourself to be spun with it, or you can allow yourself to remove yourself and be like, I wonder where I'm going to land. I wonder where all of the pieces are going to land when the dust settles. And allow yourself to be stirred in the chaos, not in a out of control way, but just in a playful way, in a curious way, in a way around, I wonder where this is going to go. It's important to know that your life can shift at any moment and that you can make different decisions at any moment in time. And that's really what this week's astrology is reminding you of. Because when we're so entrenched into the role that we play and the experiences that we have, the routines that we have, we forget our own agency, we forget our own power around, no, I am a sovereign individual. I can make different decisions at any point in time. I can change my life at any point in time. And you've heard me within all my eclipse video. I'm not saying we all need to get a new job and dump who we're dating and start traveling the world. I'm not saying you have to make all these dramatic changes within your life, but there's an opportunity this week around, can I see my life differently? Can I support some new activities? Can I welcome in some new connections? Can I see myself differently? It starts small because it's natural when there's these tornadoes of changes and shifts occurring around you and within you. It's easy to feel very out of control, just completely at the whim of this tornado. And certainly, when it comes to eclipses, there are most certainly higher forces at play, but don't forget your power in this. Don't allow yourself to get swept up in the chaos. There's this ask around, okay, things are changing, but I am still in the driver's seat of my life. And I have the ability to be able to see the situation in a new way. I have this ability to be able to look out at my future through this creative lens and to dream up new possibilities now that this tornado is coming in. And so it's a unique ask around not fighting where things might feel chaotic or you're craving changes, but being curious around it and seeing where possible you can detach yourself from it a bit. You know, being in Libra season, an air sign should be helpful in this, right? Libra is the scales, being able to acknowledge, okay, things feel a little chaotic and I don't know where my life is going. And that's one side of the scale. But on the other hand, this is kind of fun. This is kind of interesting. And so let me play in that vibration around being curious and really intentionally wearing this week the glasses of opportunity and creation and the what could be. And I say this because Mercury in Virgo will trine Uranus and trine Pluto, which is really this energy around how can I make different decisions? How can I see things differently? How can I invite in new stimuli into my brain? A lot of times those big shifts that we are craving, those shifts that would allow us to feel more content with our life and where it's going, it really starts small. Sometimes it's even just that small idea that enters your brain around, I wonder if I could do this. I wonder if I could change my workflow. It starts small, but it continues to snowball and build from there. And so many of our thoughts day to day are the same thoughts that we had the day prior. Like so many of our thoughts are recycled. And there's an energy this week around, let me think some different thoughts. Let me see some new stimuli. Let me get some new novelty in my brain. Let's shake it up. If there's one thing that a tornado is going to do, it's going to shake it up. Because when you look at different things, you look at the world differently. You look at yourself differently. And sometimes even just having that opportunity space around, I wonder if I can make a different decision here. I wonder if I could view this from a different perspective. I wonder if I could infuse this new routine that continues to snowball and build in momentum within your life. And there is a sensation this week around being a little dreamy, being a little out of it. We've got Mercury opposite Neptune. You know, there's a sensation around eclipse season and with this Mercury opposite Neptune energy around life doesn't feel real. And I know that sometimes when we have those feelings around life doesn't feel real, I don't know what is happening, it can kind of make us panic. But I will let you know, as a Pisces myself, I navigate most of my life being like, life doesn't feel real. And it kind of is a little bit of freedom in that regard. Live in integrity, be mindful of consequences. I'm not saying go break the law or do things that are truly reckless, but it's fun to step into this energy around recognizing that these 3D elements of life that we are so entrenched in around, this is my identity and this is my role and this is my identity, this is what I do, this is who I am. It's fun to kind of step into this energy around recognizing I am just a soul. I don't know what's going on and I could freak out about that or I could flow with it. And the ask is this week to flow. We also have Mercury entering Libra, which is a call for more balance within our lives and within our minds. We have Mars in Cancer trining Saturn in Pisces. So it is a productive week. It's a grounded week. It's a sort of week in which our actions can be tethered by a long-term plan or by a solid foundation. This is a week where we could grow new things. Because again, sometimes when things feel chaotic and it feels all over the place, even if there are certain elements where you can't control the tornado altogether, there are certain elements that you can control. And it helps give you a little bit of peace amidst it around, I cannot control where that tornado is going, but I can control making my little tornado shelter the best that it can be. Or I can't control where that tornado is going. And rather than freak out about that, because that doesn't feel productive, I'm going to put my energy towards something that allows me to feel soothed. It's important not to allow yourself to get swept away by the tornado of eclipse season, because you could feel in a twister of your own of emotions and chaos and worry and anxiety. And it's not saying you have to deny that, but recognize when that happens. And rather than allowing yourself to be caught in the flurry of it, step out of it. Observe it, frame it through the most curious, playful lens possible, and direct your energy towards things that you can control. Because no matter how out of control certain elements of your life may feel right now, it's important to come into the driver's seat around you are player one in the game of life. You may not be able to control everything, but you can control some things. And I think of transits and eclipses as levels to beat within the video game of life. So even just viewing it from that detached detached perspective around how can I beat this level? It seems like there's these shifts that are coming in. How can I get to the next evolution of my soul's development? How can I plot forward strategically? How can I try new strategies to get towards what it is that I want in order to step into the next iteration of who it is that I am? Because that's what eclipses are all about. So we will dive deeply into this week's astrology from both a thematic as well as a day-by-day lens. But before we do, you know the drill. If you watch Magic Monday, take a step inside my Cosmic Cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. And today in the Cosmic Cafe, I'm serving up my favorite sparkling water. And I do mean my favorite sparkling water. It is the bubbly cherry flavor. This is the GOAT as far as I'm concerned in the world of sparkling waters. And I've tried pretty much everything. I would consider myself a sparkling water connoisseur. Okay, I do enjoy a little bubble within my water. Got a little bubble in my personality. I'm gonna want a little bubble in my water. And out of all of the different flavors, out of all of the different brands, I always come back to bubbly cherry flavor. To me, it tastes like Dr. Pepper. I just love it so much. But I would love to know if anyone else loves sparkling water the way that I love sparkling water. What's your top? What's your favorite brand? What's your favorite flavor? I'm genuinely very curious. This is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. What's also near and dear to my heart is that we're currently in Libra season. And you know who's a Libra? Not me, but Haley Comet Astrology. My business is a Libra. The solar return for my business is October 1st. And as an astrologer, I'm big on birthdays. I think it's lovely to celebrate life and celebrate rites of passage. So I do like to celebrate my business's birthday. And last year we had this fun live stream here on YouTube. So I want to do it again. So on September 30th at 4 p.m. PDT, we're going to have a live stream here on YouTube. We're going to call it Cosmic Cocktail Hour because it's kind of around like happy hour time. You absolutely do not have to be drinking a cocktail if you don't want to. You could bring whatever beverage you want to sip on, but we're all going to gather and we're going to gab about astrology. So I'd so love to see you there and be able to celebrate with you all. My business is a Libra. It only makes sense to celebrate in a way where we can all be social and connect. And really, I'm just so grateful for each and every person who supports this channel, who watches my content, who books with me. Like, you all are the reason why I get to work my dream job day in and day out. And when I say this is my dream job, that is an understatement because I didn't even dream that a job like this or a life like this could be possible. It's so magical to be able to build a life that's around my passion, and it is all thanks to you all. Truly, all thanks to you all for watching me, booking with me, and I just want to let you know that I am so grateful and appreciative for you all. So I'd love for us all to be able to connect and to celebrate if you happen to be free. So I'll see you next Monday. So it'll be a truly magical Monday, the 30th at 4 p.m. PDT, and that'll be a live stream on YouTube. If you can't join live, I'll keep the replay up just in case you want to catch up on what we discuss. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week. So welcome to our next segment on Magic Monday, Vibe Check of the Week, which is essentially where we paint a planetary picture of the energies that we are stepping into when it comes to this week's astrology to help you grasp onto how this energy will realistically surface within your world. Because when I'm throwing things at you around eclipse window and it kind of feels like Twilight Zone, that doesn't always necessarily connect within our physical universe and our jobs and our routines and our errands and things of that nature. So this is a way to help bring the cosmos down to earth by comparing what's happening this week to a real life scenario. I'm not saying this exact situation is going to play out in your world, nor do you need to force the situation to play out within your world. It just kind of encapsulates what the energy feels like. And we will say this week's Vibe Check of the Week is when life has been lifing. You know, things have been going down. Some of us are having more dramatic eclipse stories. Some of us are having more subtle eclipse stories, but things can just feel a little wonky. They could just feel a little off when we're navigating eclipse season because things are a little bit more intense. And sometimes we experience major feelings of discontent with our current reality. Sometimes we really crave change, and sometimes life is just a lot. And so we will say that you're having one of those weeks where just life is just lifing. And you just need a time out, you need a break, you need a pause. And so you call up one of your nearest and dearest friends and you ask them to come over to garden with you, if you catch my drift, to indulge in a certain kind of lettuce. Okay, not everybody does that, but you could sub in whatever you would do with a friend if you just needed like a timeout from life. Maybe that would be like a wine night. Maybe that would be a tarot night, something of that nature. But we will say that you and your friend decide to partake in a certain herb, okay? And you guys are eating snacks and you are playing records and you're watching music videos and you're just giggling and laughing and you're talking about all of these different topics and you're dreaming together, right? We've got Mercury opposite Neptune this week. There is this kind of dreamy tone when it comes to this week's astrology. Now, it's important to know that when it comes to ideas and when it comes to Mercury opposite Neptune, they're not all practical, that are not all tangible. You know, I gave you an assignment earlier in the forecast to view your world through the glasses of creativity and what could be, but it's not to say that you need to make all of these things happen. It's not to say that every idea is as genius as you guys think that it is. At least you're dreaming, because when you are dreaming, you are birthing new realities, you're birthing new possibilities. And especially knowing that we're in this window between eclipses, you never know. Maybe one of these ideas will build into something real, right? Maybe viewing your world through the lens of creativity and the lens of what could be will inspire you to take different actions, to make different decisions that continues to ripple out within your universe. And so you and your friend are giggling and you're thinking of all these inventions and all of these ideas, and sure, they probably won't all come to fruition, but does it matter? Because you just needed a timeout from life, right? And to be able to escape into a world in which you could envision and contemplate and discuss with someone around you just helps reassure you around, okay, it won't always be like it is right now. And sometimes just even having someone that you can connect with and laugh with and talk about weird ideas with, sometimes that can be the most healing thing of all, right? To just know that life is a little weird and it's nice to have people around you that you can get weird with. Right? That you could talk about weird new ideas or weird new perspectives or things of that nature. So we'll say within the vibe check, like after this night where you and your friend just like laugh and you eat popcorn and you watch music videos and you have all of these interesting discussions, you get back to your tasks and those life problems and your eclipse stories, and you just feel more able to take it on, right? Because sometimes when we're so entrenched in the problems of life, or we're so entrenched in the physical dimensions of life, we take it so seriously. We take everything so seriously. And Neptune energy as well as eclipse energy can kind of help us take a step back around, yeah, things are chaotic and things are kind of a mess and I don't know what's going on, but I'm not going to take it so seriously. And sometimes those nights where you just do nothing and you just take a break from the day-to-day, it helps you find more balance, where you're able to come back to those problems and put them into the proper size that they are in within your life. Around, now that I've taken time to laugh with a dear friend and to remember the corny music videos from the thousands that we were watching, or to make up this dumb app idea that probably wouldn't be successful at all. Like sometimes just getting playful like that, being curious, getting a little silly with it, it doesn't make our problems go away, but it helps us return them to a proper size, where we remember to be a little light with life, right? We can either get swept into the tornado of our problems, or we can witness, okay, it's there. There's nothing I can do that can take away from the tornado, but where is it that I can use this as an opportunity around, well, I wanted to rearrange this town. I wanted to rearrange this town anyway. I guess this twister is here to support me with that. Of course, it's going to manifest differently for all of us. But essentially, the crux of the vibe check is just conversations, creative brainstorming, and an escape from the day-to-day grind that allows you to return back to your tasks and to your routines, feeling more productive, feeling more inspired, and honestly, just feeling more connected. You know, we're in Libra season. Mercury enters Libra this week. We are here to connect. And it is really beautiful to have people in your life where there is that camaraderie, where you are able to gab, even if it's about silly app ideas that'll never come to fruition, where you're able to vent, where you're able to watch dumb music videos with them. Sometimes just having that human connection helps us gain perspective around, okay, probably in 3 years' time, I won't remember how chaotic and unsettled I felt within this chapter of life, but I'll probably remember laughing with my bestie, eating popcorn until 2 a.m. And so not all of us indulge in that sort of behavior. Not all of us are going to meet up with the bestie this week. Maybe you're doing the creative brainstorming yourself, but there is an invitation around getting out of the problem. We don't find the solution when we are entrenched in the problem. And even if it's not a problem, even if you're just feeling very discontent within your life, if you're so rooted within your own perspective, you're just gonna see more that you're discontent around. And sometimes it's helpful to get away from the day-to-day grind in order to see things differently, get some different stimuli, see yourself differently, invite in new possibilities in your world. If you are feeling bored, or if you are feeling discontent, if you're feeling apathetic, that could be the story for some. It really goes one of two ways. Like some of you are wanting this tornado, like you want to shake things up, I'm bored, I need something new. Some of you, your life is creating the tornado, a new job, and all of these things are happening, so I might as well get with it and just contemplate other realities that can birth in since things are being shaken up. But it's just a reminder that your life can change at any point in time. And if you're in the midst of being eclipsed, you are quite aware of that things could change at any point in time. When we're so stuck within the day-to-day, it could just feel like everything is the same day in and day out, but things are shifting and evolving and changing, and things can happen quite quickly. Things can accelerate. Your life can shift directions at any moment that you do truly choose it. And sometimes it just takes silly conversations, creative brainstorming, looking out at the world through fresh eyes that help you get inspired again. And that could be helpful because some of us are experiencing things dropping away. Things that we thought were solid, right? An eclipse tornado came through it and ripped it away, right? That's going to be embedded within the Libra solar eclipse next week, which by the way, I did do an all signs forecast. If you want to figure out where exactly that eclipse is landing within your chart, what life themes are coming to the surface, I'll link it above as well as below. And when eclipse tornadoes come in and they blow away things that you thought were secure, there could be an energy around, what now? Do I need to chase the tornado and try to like get what it blew way back, right? You have to trust that if the eclipse picked it up and is taking it somewhere else, you have to trust it is departing your world for a reason. And so rather than chasing the tornado, there's an ask to use a creative visualization or brainstorm or envision the possibilities around, okay, now that this building is in the tornado, what can I do with this new foundation? What can I create with this new space, right? Focusing on the what could be rather than the what has been. Because if something gets snatched from your reality during an eclipse, that was the universe saying that it is no longer supporting your soul's development. And again, if new things, new ideas, new characters are entering your world, this absolutely can be supportive for your soul's development. So just important to view the world through that lens, that higher perspective. So of course, we'll dive more into this. I just have a couple of quick notes. The first being, I'm located in California. So when I mention time zone, I will be referring to times as PDT, that's Pacific time zone. So adjust to your time zone if you are located elsewhere within this world. I also want to let you know that I have timestamps available below should you feel called to jump to a particular day or jump back to a particular day. YouTube also has a playback speed option should you feel called to speed me up, to slow me down. So you can check that out by clicking the gear icon. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into the astrology for Monday, September 23rd. So happy Monday, September 23rd. We currently have the sun in an air sign. Now that we are in Libra season, you can get caught up on last week's Magic Monday where we go more in depth around it. I'll link it below. But we are in Libra season, so the sun is in Libra, an air sign, and the moon is in Gemini all day long, a fellow air sign. So there is an energy around wanting to connect because other people can be such a grounding force within our life if we are going through tornadoes, whether it's emotional tornadoes, spiritual tornadoes, actual physical chaos happening around us. Sometimes just being able to vent to someone else, or even just watching a YouTube video of somebody who's going through something similar, or just even being able to be in a group chat and be like, guys, what the heck is happening? Or send a meme to your best friend. Those experiences can help ground us in the chaos because it's just this energy around, I see you, you see me, we're gonna get through this. And it can even show up around having a conversation with your barista or the person who's helping you check out at the grocery store. Those human to human interactions that just remind us that things feel a little wonky, things are feeling a little bit like the Twilight Zone, a little do-do-do-do-do, but I see you and I've got you, and we might have different experiences, but at least we have that human to human connection and camaraderie, because I think that can be something so healing to just be able to talk with someone else, to not feel crazy. Because sometimes when we're so absorbed in our own, mental chaos or our own emotional chaos or things of that nature, we can feel crazy. We can feel like life is always going to be like this. And sometimes just being able to put your emotions to words and for them to be like, okay, well, what are we going to do about this? How are we going to move forward? That could be something healing. And that energy feels embedded within Monday's astrology. I mean, the moon's in Gemini all day long, so it is asking you to view things around, what am I learning from this, right? Around one hand, I can acknowledge that things feel a little chaotic and a little all over the place. But on the other hand, I can also acknowledge that I am learning quite a bit from this lesson in life school, right? And maybe even just being able to laugh about it, find humor in it, make a bit out of it. It helps us detach from it a little bit, right? Not feel so personally enveloped in it, because it'll fog your view, right? When you're so deeply in the problem or what's wrong, it's hard to look for what's right or what's going to solve the situation. So sometimes verbalizing it or being able to connect with someone else helps you step out of it, view it from a new perspective, laugh about it, get new data around it, find the lesson in it. And when it comes to Monday's astrology, you might start the day with a little bit of a bummer energy. Some of you could come through in the form of a text message. For some of you, it could come through in an email, right? Like the first email of the day, you're not even out of bed, you check your email and it's from your boss and it just says, please fix. And you're just like, cool. This is how I'm starting my week. Cool. There could just be certain bummer energies. We've got the moon squaring off with Saturn. We do have some intense energies still separating the cosmos. Yesterday we had Venus square Pluto. Venus just recently entered Scorpio. So things could be feeling a little intense, right? Because when you're already feeling emotional or you're already feeling unsettled, a please fix email is just what can push you over the edge. And again, you could blow things out of proportion around allowing it to completely affect your mood and completely tumble you towards this extreme around, God, I'm so dumb and this and that. And it's just important to observe when you feel things going down this more obsessive or ruminating space around, okay, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's a please fix email. It's not a please fix your entire life because it's a mess. Sort of thing. Like sometimes when we're already feeling in a more intense state of mind, or we can just allow these small inconveniences, issues, problems take up more residence than it really should within our life. And so not everybody will it come through to please fix email. It could just be having a hard time getting out of bed, just an overall feeling of blah, feeling pressured by responsibilities, looking out at what you have to do this week and being like, how am I possibly going to do all of this, right? There could just be an energy around feeling a little stressed, feeling a little overburdened, potentially. That's how you're starting the day. Now, the good vibes do catch up a little later in the day. The moon does meet up with Jupiter at 3:38 p.m., which moon on Jupiter is that energy around conversing, right? Brainstorming, getting creative, feeling inspired, remembering that life is a game. That's truly how I view it, which I know is a very Mercury in Aquarius way to view it, but I think it's helpful because when we take it so seriously, we're so rooted within the emotions of it, or within the comparison game around what other people are doing, or even the comparison game around how we thought that things should go. We can feel like this is all that there is and it's all that it's going to be and that we're a failure. And sometimes it just takes stepping into that energy around, no, I can switch things up at any point in time. Like I am the controller of the sim in this reality and I can make different decisions if I so want to. Do you ever have a moment like that where you remember free will? Like sometimes I'd be forgetting, literally, that I have free will to do different things. I've been having that during eclipse season where I've just been in this energy around recognizing I could do different stuff if I wanted to. I'm a Virgo moon and rising, so I'm all about my routines, which I do think there's a time and place. But I've just been having these interesting cravings where I'm like, why not? I've been going to different clubs. I've been going to different meetings. I've been trying different hobbies. My friend and I, he has all these different dinner parties. He's a Gemini rising, so he's always trying to get people together. And we're both Pisces. And we were talking about how much we love Pisces and how we want to meet more Pisces. He asked me if I want to have a Pisces dinner party at his house where we invite the Pisces of San Diego who want to come to the dinner party to come to the dinner party. And I'm like, hell yeah. I mean, why not? Why not? You never know. You just never know. And if you're bored with life, if you're discontent, play with a little bit. Get in some different environments. Join a pottery club. Throw a Pisces dinner party. Just do different stuff. sometimes it just takes making that decision around, I'm open to connection. Because if you don't feel like you have that person that you could, sit on the couch with and gab and giggle for hours and hours, not necessarily everybody needs that exact night, but if you're craving connection, with Moon on Jupiter, it might be an invitation around, let me be open to meet some new people. Let me take a dance class. Let me join a book club. Let me go do some stuff. And not everything will be a sleigh. Not every meetup that you go to will be a sleigh. Who knows about our dinner party? We're literally going to do it. It's not a business thing at all. We just genuinely want to meet Pisces in San Diego. I mean, why not? It might be a bust, but it might be a sleigh. And if you could have one conversation, or even just something that makes you laugh, or even just being able to take in just the unique facets of human beings and just how different everybody's life is, sometimes it helps you detach or step out of your own stuff. I think that's why I've been doing all this different stuff, going to different clubs and meetings, because I think I've just needed a vacation from my stuff. So I'm like, let me get some new stimuli. I just can't. I just can't. And so with this energy, there's also a reminder in the evening time that conversation and camaraderie can be something quite healing. We see this with the Gemini moon sextiling Chiron, and it's not that all of you need to join a club and host a dinner party and do all of these things literally on Monday, but it might be an optimal day to, if you think of someone, reach out to them. Say, hey, I'm thinking of you. Have a genuine phone call. Have a genuine conversation with your barista. Find opportunities to connect. It could be something quite healing. For some of you, you could be leveraging this around getting lost in a book that feels quite healing. You could be writing your emotions, and that helps make sense of them. It helps you process them in a new way. You could have a very healing conversation with someone else. So on Tuesday, September 24th at 10:27 a.m. PDT, Mercury, who is still in its exaltation and domicile of Virgo, will trine Uranus in Taurus, which is a cosmic nudge to start thinking some new thoughts, to start contemplating some new decisions or envisioning some new possibilities. And this is the energy within the vibe check around the ideas, many of which are a little garbage, right? If you partake in that, you know that sometimes you're like, why were we so passionate about this app idea? Or why were we so convinced that there was an invention that was absolutely necessary around a headboard that you could record your dreams in, right? Waking up in the next day, just be like, that was a dumb idea, but at least you are envisioning possibilities. And so sometimes to get out of a slump, we just need to start thinking of some new thoughts, viewing things through the lens of what could be. Even just taking a walk around your neighborhood and just allowing yourself to envision different possibilities around, what if I lived there? What if I owned a business like that? There will be a lot of bad ideas that will come through, but sometimes giving yourself permission to throw out the bad ideas, you find a gem in there. I've heard that that's a technique within some companies, is that in order to encourage some creative brainstorming, they'll say bad ideas only. Sometimes it gives us more freedom to be able to let loose on visions without screening around what's good or bad, just allowing ourselves around, these are ideas. At least I'm birthing new things out into the world. At least I'm seeing the world through possibility. Because when you see the world of possibility, you're both rooted in where it is that you are, as well as looking out towards the future. Because a lot of times when we feel very stuck, when we feel discontent, or our life is so chaotic, we're very rooted within the past framework, and it makes us very anxious because we're like, okay, all I have to go off of is the past, which is falling away. It's no longer resonant, or there's elements of the past that I miss and I want to go back to them. And it's like nothing that you really want is in your rearview mirror. Right? And so there's an energy around, I don't know where I'm driving to, but at least I'm looking ahead and I'm looking, oh, that looks like an interesting road stop. I don't need to stop there, but at least I'm looking around and I'm driving forward. Because there will be temptations as we get closer and closer to that Libra solar eclipse on the south node. There will be temptations to backslide. There will be temptations to take steps back to versions of yourself that you've been in the past, even people that you've been connected with in the past. And it's not to say that that's always a horrible idea, but it's like you've been there before. And it's natural when things are chaotic and they feel like they're falling away, you cling to what's familiar, but it's like you've been there before. There's so much of your book that is yet to be written. The rest is still unwritten. Natasha said it best. And so there's an energy with Mercury trine Uranus around, let me get creative around what the next chapter is going to be. And let me just encourage myself to look forward and to join different clubs because I can, to read different sort of books because I can, to contemplate new ways of going about my routine or new ways around going around my business or my workflow because I can. There's a lot within our world that we can feel out of control about. But there's a lot within your experience that you are in control of. Remember that. I know a lot of times when things feel chaotic around eclipse season, we could just feel like we are at the whim and the mercy of the universe, which is only half true, okay? Like, yes, fate and karma, destiny, it's doing its thing, but that doesn't mean that you are completely at the mercy of what is happening around you. Step into your power. Remember to embody yourself within this experience and know that you have the power at any point in time to make different decisions. You do not have to do things the way that you did them last time. You have the power at any point in time to quit a bad habit. You have the power at any point in time to cut things off with someone who is bad for you. You have the power at any point in time to find new strategies of going about work that frees up more time from your schedule. You have the power. Do not forget that. It all starts with you deciding that you can view things differently or that you can take different actions so that you can communicate in new ways. It all starts with that ability around remembering I am in the driver's seat of my life and I can create different results. And so this would be a great day to brainstorm, right, at work. This would be a great day to journal. This would be a great day to do something different. Have weird conversations with a friend of yours. Write a short story about aliens. Join a baking club. Like, if you're bored with your life, get some new stimuli. Get some new stimuli, get some different things to think about. You know, Mercury trines Pluto a little later this week, and this just reminds me of the energy when you find something new to obsess about or to learn deeply about. Life gets so much more rich when you have an obsession or something that you could dive into and research and get obsessed with. Like, it's so fun being able to hyperfixate on different topics. It's like if you are really into a show, being able to deep dive and learn all the lore about it, or you get really into a book series, you get really into astrology. Like, it just helps life feel a lot more interesting. And it gives us a place for our mind to get lost in that's not our problems, and thinking the same thoughts that we did yesterday and being in the same spirals around how we're not good enough and how we're so stuck or how we're so trapped or how we won't be good enough. It's just an energy around these are familiar old loops. Let me get some new data. Let me get some new thoughts within my brain. The other notable event on Tuesday is that we do have a last quarter moon in Cancer. And so this is a callback to last week's Pisces lunar eclipse, which I would love to know. Comment below. How was that Pisces lunar eclipse for you? Were you feeling inspired and intuitive and idealistic and imaginative? Or were you feeling a little bit delusional and depressed and discouraged? I've been talking to my clients and it seems like everybody's all over the map, but I would love to know what's been your Pisces lunar eclipse. You can always get caught up on last week's Magic Monday, but this might kind of check in with that around what came to the surface and what you are feeling called to release. Like I was talking about when I was talking about vibe check, you know, when we think of changes, oftentimes we think of new things, but especially being in this portal as the moon is getting smaller and we are building to an eclipse on the south node, there could be certain things that are being taken from us or that are being released. Like what's coming to mind is when you lose a contract or you lose a job or something ends, right? And obviously part of you is so freaked out because you're like, how am I gonna pay my bills? Like, what's gonna happen? Obviously there's like threats to security, but there's also part of you that is like, what's gonna happen? Right? Sometimes like right after the news, you just have this energy of possibility around what space is this opening up for me? Like I remember I had this client during my like freelance era when I was building this, but I still had clients that were like in the same vein of what my 9-to-5 used to be in. And this particular client was the bulk of my income and it was the bulk of my energy in more ways than one. It was a very physically, emotionally, even spiritually draining situation. And I remember when it was a mutual decision that we were parting ways and I went for this walk and there was part of me that was freaking out because I was like, okay, my life is changing. I feel like I'm in this tornado, right? So there's part of me that was freaking out, but there's also part of me that was very curious and interested to see where my life was going to go. And I remember I took this photo of the sky, and I have it in my phone, and it's listed under the sky the day that my life changed, because it's crazy to just know that you can be in a certain contract or have a certain client day in and day out, and then one day it's just different. One day it's just different. And there's so many reminders of how things change every single day. I mean, astrology is a representation of this. The cosmos are constantly shifting and evolving. And sometimes if we're in a state of life in which we're bored, we're discontent, it can feel like the same day in and day out. But you could wake up tomorrow and things could all be different. Every single day, the sunset is slightly different. Every single day, the planets are somewhat different. Every single day, the people that you talk to are somewhat different. And so it's believing in the possibility for things to change. And when things change, it's knowing that it is opening up space and focusing in on the space that it's opening up rather than what was. Like, there was every part of me that was freaking out and wanting to cling to that position. I mean, with every position that I've walked away from, what would give me solace is, well, I can always go back. You know, if it doesn't work out, if I try to do my own thing and try to work for myself, I could always go back. I could always go back. And that would almost give me like a sensation of comfort. But you can't go back into places where you no longer fit. And it's so scary being in the in-between where one door is closing and you don't yet see the next one. But it's important to hone in on the space that it opens up. Like, I remember being on that walk and looking at the sky, and I was freaking out around how I was going to pay my bills. But then part of me was like, I wonder how it's going to feel when I don't wake up with a bunch of texts from my boss every single day. Like, I wonder how it's going to feel that my time is now my own. I wonder what opportunities I'm going to be open to now that I don't have this on. It's important to focus on the space that it's opening up rather than what is departing. And you can have your feelings about it. Listen, it's a last quarter Cancer moon. Allow yourself to feel and cry and process what you're letting go of. But don't forget to also like nurture the new beginning that this space is opening up for you. You know, last week's vibe check, we were talking about shattering of an illusion, right? Seeing something clearly. And once we no longer allow this person to take up residence within our life, it does open up space. And I've found, at least within my experience, I haven't been able to manifest or experience the good stuff in my life until I shut the door on the mediocre stuff, or like the not fully there stuff. Like, for example, I had this ex and we were friends. It was a whole thing, but we were in each other's lives even far after the breakup, like talking every single day. But I was single. In my mind, I was like, well, I'm open to a relationship. Like, love could find me. I am single. And I did date, but it wasn't anything real. It wasn't like the good stuff. I wasn't like love, right? And I've told the story before, but he found out that I went on a date with someone else and he blocked me on everything. And I'm so grateful that he did, because the guy I went on the date with was not it. But after some time, I was able to genuinely fall in love, like the real stuff, because that door was closed, right? That door was completely closed, slammed shut. A big part of this Libra solar eclipse is this need to slam the door shut to have a new beginning. Because when we are halfway in and halfway out with something, when we're halfway open to something new but halfway attached to something of the past, when we are open to new love but still holding out hope for this person from the past, we attract vibrationally what we are. So we could say all day long, oh, I'm emotionally available, oh, I'm single, or oh, I'm open for new opportunities. But the universe does not respond to our words, it responds to our vibration. And when we're existing and halfway in, halfway out, we will attract things and people that are halfway in and halfway out with us, right? Emotionally unavailable, wishy-washy, not an ideal opportunity for us. And I'm not saying that everybody needs to quit your job and, you know, block your ex and all of that, although it is kind of that season. There is a need to perhaps shut a door, you know, shatter an illusion, let go of something that is not serving you, that's mediocre, that you really don't want. For some of you, maybe the door is slammed shut for you, and thank the universe for doing that for you, because it's not always comfortable to have to slam the door shut yourself. And just get excited around what spaces is opening up for you. And so from a lunar perspective, the Gemini moon squares Mercury in Virgo very early in the day, a little after midnight. So you could even feel this on Monday night around a bout of insomnia, having a lot on your mind, overthinking, right? Quite a bit. and perhaps even having a lot of anxiety. You know, Gemini moon squares Neptune right after. And we think of Neptune as dreams and visions, and sure, it's that, but it's also fantasizing about the things that we don't want. Like when that contract I was telling you about and I parted ways, I was birthing all these realities around I'm not going to be able to pay my bills and this is going to happen. It's all downhill for me. And it's important to give your mind some new stimuli. Again, read something, have a conversation. Sometimes it just helps to get out of your loops of overthinking. We don't find solution or genuine new creative ideas or possibilities when we're just stuck in our own loops, our own familiar brain grooves. The moon is void after it squares off with Neptune, so you also might have interesting dreams. The moon is void from 4:59 a.m. until it enters Cancer a little bit before 8 a.m. So you might start the day a little out of it, a little dreamy. It might be really hard to get out of bed. You might need to journal about your dreams. You might need to be a little bit more gentle in entering the day. Maybe listen to some music, maybe meditate. And while we are building to that last quarter moon, which can be creating these feelings of crisis or even chaos or just even emotional turmoil, being in the in-between, I will say the Cancer moon does trine Venus in Scorpio. So find the beauty within the chaos. Find the beauty within your emotions. Even soothe your inner landscape by caring for your home environment, by petting your cat, right? Doing those things that allow you to feel soothed and at ease, especially with that last quarter moon building. And just know that the following day we have Mercury opposite Neptune, which tends to make us a little in our own dreamland, a little out of it. And so while that doesn't exact until Wednesday around 4 a.m., we're definitely feeling it Tuesday. So focus could be a problem. Remember to write things down, right? Great day for brainstorming. Like I said, with Mercury trine Uranus, great day for connection with moon trine Venus. But just remember to double check the details. Okay, Neptune makes us a little spacey, a little out of it. And just call yourself back when you're observing that you are fantasizing about the worst case scenario. Start to envision the best case scenario. You could think about what if it all goes wrong, or you could think about what if it all goes right. What if this tornado comes in and everything is a disaster? What if this tornado comes in and everything settles exactly where it's meant to be? What framework supports you more at this time? On Wednesday, September 25th at 4:07 a.m. PDT, Mercury in Virgo will oppose Neptune in Pisces, which does give a little dreaminess, a little delusion, a little distraction to our day. And honestly, Neptune energy kind of tends to bleed into surrounding days. So you absolutely could be feeling this on Tuesday as well as Thursday. And this is kind of also adding to that energy around what is real. What is happening, right? And some of you could just want to escape from life. And listen, there's nothing wrong with wanting to escape from life every so often, right? To have a friend over and to just giggle and talk about nothing and get lost into dumb music videos, right? To get lost in a book, to get lost in an album. This can help us cope, right? Especially when stuff feels heavy or things feel intense. We're like, I need just a vacation from it, because you do come back to your reality feeling a little bit more revitalized and restored when you do give yourself intentional vacations from your mind. And I say intentional because sometimes Neptune energy is like, my life is a mess and I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I just want to stay in dreamland. I just want to numb myself. I just want to delude myself so I don't need to deal with it. So it's just being intentional and conscious. Because listen, this life is heavy. This life is dense. This life is a lot. Okay? We kind of need breaks from it in order to deal. Every so often. We need some evenings where we just giggle with our friend. We need some days where we get lost in a good book. We need some days where we just take a bath and shut the door on everything else, just being like, that is gonna have to wait. That is tomorrow me's problem, because it certainly is not tonight me's problem. We need that every so often. I would encourage you to find those moments, but find them intentionally this week, because it all is around moderation. You know, that evening with your best friend, if you had it every single night, probably wouldn't be as soulfully rejuvenating as it would be. It would just be you literally running from your problems. So sometimes we have to run from our problems to create distance from it and to create perspective around it, and then to come back into cleaning up the mess, right? Mercury is still in Virgo at this moment. And sometimes we just are procrastinating just to avoid cleaning up the mess, right? So it's just having artful distance from it, as well as sometimes that distance from it helps us envision new possibilities or envision new potentials, or just to be able to dream with a friend. You know, it's so important to have people in your life who believe in your dreams, who help you envision new things for yourself, especially if you're in a slump. Like, just being able to be around people who encourage you, can help you give more texture to these dreams, just can help you get you into a more positive mental framework. Because Mercury trines Pluto at 9:14 p.m. that evening, which is kind of this energy around the power that our mind can have, whether it's working in constructive ways or destructive ways, right? Like, we can envision the worst case scenario or we can envision the best case scenario. Because Pluto's about power, and our thoughts are powerful. And it's important what thoughts that you consciously fuel within your world. We cannot control everything. Eclipse season makes that very clear to us. But with Mercury opposing Neptune and trining Pluto, there's an ask on Wednesday to continue to bolster positive visions, positive possibilities, or even just new dreams that you could put energy towards that are ultimately going to encourage a better state of mind, going to encourage a better mood. And really, when you allow yourself to get in this more positive rampage of sorts, or building momentum and this energy of what's going right and what you're grateful for, is that your mind begins to search out for more data that proves that you are right. Your mind always wants to be right. Especially, we've got Mercury in Virgo right now. Virgo is very know-it-all, right? Our mind wants to be right. So if we decide that we are going to have a good day, we're going to be happy today, we're going to be grateful today, things are going well for us, things are working out, we will look for proof of why that is true. We will look at the clock and see 222 and be like, see, my angels are with me. We will look at our cat looking adorable on the couch and be like, I have the best cat in the world. We will look at the latte that we made and think, wow, I'm so grateful to be alive and to be able to make this beautiful latte. We'll look for proof that validates that that is true. But same goes when you're holding thoughts around everything is the worst, I don't know what I'm doing. You will look for proof of why that is true within your reality. Like I said, we get stuck in a lot of the same thought loops day in and day out, and the same familiar grooves of thinking. And there's so much stimuli for us to pay attention to every single day. So it's like, what am I zeroing in on every single day? What am I noticing? And how can I recognize the power that my mind has to notice different things and to build more of this momentum in ways that are ultimately more positive and allow me to feel more in control of my reality? Because when it comes to Neptune energy, you can really play with it one of two ways. Like, you can either bolster these thoughts of, I feel so lost, I feel so confused, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what my life is turning into. Or you can navigate this Neptune energy around, I don't know what my life is turning into, but I'm curious to see what it's going to be. And let me positively think about what could happen, and to see the beauty within this present moment, and to just trust that the universe is with me orchestrating the next steps of things. Because I believe that our spiritual connection can help alleviate a lot of our worries and anxieties. Like, I would say Wednesday would be a really great day to give over any worries that you have over to God, your higher power, surrender them to the universe. You cannot worry and pray at the same time. Like, if you pray, you're outsourcing your worries to the universe, saying, listen, I don't know what's happening, I'm going to pray about it, I'm going to trust the universe is with me, it's eclipse season, I understand that things are aligning for me. It might feel like things are happening to me, but I need to trust that things are happening for me. Because I'm trusting in that, I'm just going to go with the flow and look for more proof around how my dream reality is aligning for me. Even if it's small things, right? With Mercury in Virgo, like, you can look at 222 and just know, oh, it's 2:22 p.m. Or you can look at it and be like, I am blessed. And the universe is with me, right? That's where I think having spiritual connection can be helpful, because it just is you looking for data that affirms that you are supported, that you are on the right path, that you are where it is that you are meant to be. And it's trusting within that. It doesn't do any good to allow these thoughts of worry and fear to take over. Give them over to God. And on Wednesday, you might feel a little crabby. You know, we've got the moon in Cancer all day. It meets up with Mars. You might feel a little reactive. You might feel a little impulsive. You know, there could be misunderstandings. Mercury has to do with communication. Definitely double check details. Definitely be mindful that you really are on the same page with someone, especially if you are going to have an emotional reaction to something. With Moon Mars, you could be feeling more inspired, but it's going to show up in a lunar way. It's not going to go where you thought it was going to go, but it could be a very productive day if you follow the waxes and wanes of your energy as the Cancer moon then trine Saturn. And both of those energies, moon on Mars and then moon trining Saturn, exact earlier in the day. So great day to be proactive with what it is that you want to handle, follow your energy, do things that allow yourself to feel good. Notice what it is that you're dreaming about, notice what it is that you're visualizing, notice new ideas that you are birthing. And I would also just extend on Wednesday, we do have Mercury positioned at the anaretic degree for a portion of Wednesday, which can sometimes make us feel this now or never energy, especially when it comes to things that we need to communicate or say. And keep in mind, we've got the moon on Mars, which can make us a little bit more emotionally reactive or emotionally volatile. So there could be something that you're feeling that you feel like you need to vocalize right now, like now or never type of energy. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't share what's on your heart, what's on your mind, but sometimes when we are approaching things in the mess of the emotion of it, we're not able to be very clear about it. And I just feel like with Mercury opposite Neptune, there could be certain things that get lost in translation. So I just wouldn't allow yourself to feel impatient around needing to get a message out right now, even though emotionally you could feel a little bit more charged or a little bit more impulsive around doing it. On Thursday, September 26th, at 1:09 a.m., Mercury will depart its domicile. It will exit its exaltation and head into the cardinal air territory of Libra, which shifts from the energy of Virgo, which is around the details and streamlining and organizing, to the energy of Libra, which is really around connecting, collaborating. And you can find with Mercury in Libra that you are more apt to want to communicate with others. You can find that you're able to think more clearly when you do converse with others or bounce ideas off others. Hence why in the vibe check, you're hanging out with your friend. And you can also find within your own frame of mind, you can be a bit more indecisive. Okay, we gotta say it about Libra energy. It tends to kind of weigh out both sides, and it can really weigh out the pros and cons around, well, I could do this, or I could do this. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And so you can find your mental framework from this point moving onward is a little bit more geared towards what's fair, right? Really wanting to hear out both sides. There's a reason why Libras are such gifted negotiators and so gifted at being able to find the middle ground or to be able to compromise. And all of us could be really approaching our conversations and our communication from that framework around how can we both genuinely feel listened to. And we could be really craving that balance within our conversations, you know, being around those people who also ask you questions just as you ask them questions. You know, there's nothing more draining than leaving a social situation where it felt utterly unequal. You're like, cool, we spent the entire time talking about you and your universe and everything happening within your life, and I don't even think you know one thing that's happening within my world. Like, you could start observing that within your conversations, how balanced listening and the communicating is, or how imbalanced it is. And just overall within your relationships, like really celebrating the connections where there's a nice equitable give and take, and observing where it feels like it's more give, 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 or more take, take, take. You know, we are really craving balance in all ways. And even outside of conversations and connection with Mercury in Libra, you could be wanting to bring the scale back to other arenas of life. If the Virgo side of things made you a little bit more hyperfixated on the routines and the errands and the optimization of work and all of that, with the energy of Mercury in Libra, it's this energy around how can I put energy towards other arenas of my life? Prioritizing more of my social connections, prioritizing more of my hobbies, prioritizing the things outside of what needs to get done day to day. Like, you could be kind of calling in that sort of balance. For the first portion of the day, the moon will be in Cancer. It does square off with Chiron a little after midnight. So you also could have felt this build on Wednesday night as well. And this could be a pang around not sensing a feeling of belonging, right? And that kind of happens when we're between worlds. And we're all kind of between worlds with these eclipses around, I don't belong to my past, but I don't belong to my future. I just belong nowhere. I feel like an orphan of my own universe around where is home? Where is my sensation of security, right? It's hard to feel secure in a tornado, and however this tornado of eclipse season is showing up for you. And with the energy of Cancer moon squaring Chiron, like not knowing where your safe space is could be a contemplation here. And it's important not to judge yourself for your emotions. You know, all of this Libra energy could be wanting to make sense of it around, should I be feeling this way? I mean, on one hand, there's this, and on one hand, there's this. But the Cancer moon does ask you to feel it. Even if it doesn't make sense to you, allow yourself to feel it. Like I've been talking about with Mars and Cancer, when we try to numb our emotions, we numb a lot more than that. We also numb our intuition. So there's an ask to not judge yourself for being sensitive and even feeling things intensely, because before the moon enters Leo a little later on in the day, yes, the Cancer moon does sextile Uranus and trine Neptune, so there can be an energy around feeling connected to our own soul, to our intuition, envisioning new possibilities, but then it goes on to oppose Pluto. So there could be this feeling of feeling quite uneasy, right? Like the energy of Cancer wants to feel home and at ease, and oftentimes when we are in a transition, it's not quite comfortable. And comfortable is not the metrics by which you define a successful, happy life. Obviously, we want a degree of comfort, right? We want to feel at ease, we want to feel at home, but it's not the end all be all of life. You either sit with the dissatisfaction around nothing changing, or you sit in the fear of things changing. Like you just have to make peace of which you'd rather live with at this particular chapter of your life. And even if it's not showing up in so dramatic ways, you could just be feeling intense on Thursday, feeling a little anxious on Thursday. The moon then enters Leo, which does lighten up the mood. This happens at 3:47 p.m. and then it sextiles Mercury in Libra. So that evening may be a really great time for a date night, potentially. You know, we've got Venus in Scorpio, so dates could be a little intense, right? Tell me all your secrets. And we've got Mercury trine Pluto separating, so it'd be great for a date where you low-key interrogate the person, but you're doing it in a fun and flirty way with the Leo moon sextile Mercury in Libra. And just expect with the moon in Leo over the next couple of days that there will be a focus around wanting to create, wanting to express yourself. And it's just the energy of the vibe check around how you just feel more charged up with radiance and sunshine after spending time with those sort of people, right? The people who see the best in you, where even if things are going down, right, and you're being really hard on yourself about it, or you're dealing with a lot of confusion, it's really lovely to be around those cheerleaders or those people who hype you up or see the best in you, even if you don't personally see it. And like I said, with Libra energy, a lot of our focus is on connections and the balance within our connections. So also observe the balance of that, right? I'm pouring sunshine into you, you're pouring sunshine into me. It's symbiotic, right? Really observing who, after you spend time with, you feel more radiant, more charged up, more sparkly, more alive, more creative. So on Friday, September 27th, I want to let you know that shortly after midnight, the Leo moon does sextile the Libra sun. And this is the waning crescent moon phase. You know, we're preparing for next week's new moon. It's a solar eclipse in Libra. And oftentimes in the final lunar phase, we do feel a little bit more private. So if I'm talking about this energy of Libra around connectivity and compromise and collaboration, and you move into this weekend and you're just not feeling it, honor that. If it is a more instrumental new moon, in this case solar eclipse for us, sometimes we do feel more inclined to draw back our energy. Again, with Mars in Cancer, allow your intuition to guide the way. And honestly, with Mars in Cancer building to trine Saturn in Pisces, it exacts Sunday night, but we're going to fill this build. We can have a very productive weekend so long as we follow our energy, right? Really observing what you are inspired to take on, really observing what your emotions are feeling guided to do. You can really find, as you listen to those cues, you are able to dial into your foundations and build or work towards some lovely things this weekend. So maybe you're feeling more inclined to stay in and just work on household projects. Maybe you're feeling more inclined to do stuff with your family. Like you could just be really wanting to put energy towards what means something to you, what's sacred to you with Mars in Cancer. So follow the rhythms that might show up in very inner ways. And again, with waning crescent moons, sometimes we feel more inclined to want to release things, let go of things. Sometimes we do feel more emotional. Allow yourself to feel, you know, after that energy of the Libra sun sextile Leo moon, which these are typically pretty outgoing energies, right? So I just don't want you to feel like an alien if you're not necessarily feeling very outgoing and bubbly. Like perhaps you're more in the waning crescent moon side of things. Listen to your intuition, what you need. But there definitely could be some intense or more dramatic emotions that you are feeling, you know, early Friday, even late Thursday as well, because we have the Leo moon, which feels everything intensely, and it squares off with Venus in Scorpio, which definitely is feeling things intensely. So if you did take my little encouragement around going on a date yesterday or even like a date today, just be mindful not to seek out validation from these people. Because with the energy of Moon square Venus, sometimes we want something to feed us. And yes, sometimes that shows up around going to excess with, you know, online shopping or going to excess with sweets. But sometimes it's wanting people to tell us that we are valuable, to tell us that we are enough, to tell us that we are good. And it's important to know that ultimately only you can give that to yourself. Only you can validate yourself. If you are dependent on other people to feed your ego or to tell you that you are good enough, it'll never be enough. It'll create this bottomless pit of validation. And again, outsourcing your own confidence or your own sense of self. And I highlight this just because next week's Libra solar eclipse has a lot to do with those themes. So just being conscious of that, even if it's not on a date, just being conscious around I feel good about myself if I get this amount of likes on my Instagram photos, and I feel horrible about myself if I don't get that many likes. Or I feel good about myself if my coworker says I did a good job, or I feel horrible about myself if my coworker doesn't say anything, if I feel ignored. So there's an ask to really build that inner landscape of validating yourself, right? Cheerleading yourself, hyping yourself up, doing what makes you feel happy. It will allow you to be much stronger of a person. And of course, we all want to be acknowledged. We all want to be cheerleaded. We all want to feel supported in one way. But I just don't want that to be this addictive loop, allowing your inner world to be totally tied to external factors. Of course, external factors are going to influence our moods, right? From moment to moment, but it's just this energy around if I showed up and I did the best that I could, whether my coworker says I did a good job or they say that I didn't do a good job, I feel at peace with what it is that I put into this. Or if I post this Instagram post, that's something that I wanted to put out there. No matter how many likes I get on it, I feel good about what it is that I created, what it is that I put out there. So just being conscious where you're hinging something as delicate and as important as your inner landscape on the validation that comes from others. That just could be something that's alive on Friday. On Saturday, September 28th, great day to have a little fun. Okay, we've got the Leo moon sextile Jupiter in Gemini in the morning time around 9 a.m. And do keep in mind, sextiles are very soft flows of energy. And so it's almost like an opportunity aspect. It's a muscle that we need to work. And the muscle to work on Saturday morning is how can I encourage more joy in my world? Because like I said, joy is an inside job. And part of what came alive yesterday was just acknowledging where your joy is contingent upon certain external factors. Because it's both around safeguarding ourselves from what siphons our joy or just being conscious of where it is that we hinge our joy around certain reactions in the external world. But it's also around consciously making the decision around I choose to feel happy or I choose to do things that make me feel good. I choose to play. Right? With the energy of Leo moon. I choose to create. I choose to have fun. I choose to have a good weekend. Like really stepping into the driver's seat around, I cannot control everything. It's eclipse season. But I can control if I step into today and choose to be grateful and I choose to have fun and I choose to have a more playful spirit around things. That could be healing. The Leo moon then trines Chiron. It does square Uranus, so you could be craving a break from the routine, wanting to do something different, wanting to shake things up around, this is what I typically do on Saturdays, but let me remember that I'm the main character in my world, I'm in the driver's seat, I can do something different at any point in time. Let me find a farmer's market, let me drive to this mountain town, let me go find some pie. Like, consciously invite in novelty into your world. And that evening, the Leo moon does square Uranus. So hence that restlessness around, I need to do something different, right? I need to have a little fun. I need to break out the routine. I need to do something random, right? Do you have any friends that you have on Find My Friends who are always in the most bizarre location? Or maybe you're that friend. It's like a little location thing where you could tell where people are at. I don't know why my friend group has a lot of one another on Find My Friends. I don't know if that's too much. You know, with Venus and Scorpio, some of you might be like, hello, I don't want anyone to know where I'm at. But it's always just kind of interesting to see where everybody's at, especially if you have a friend on Find My Friends who's just always somewhere random. Like we have this friend in our friend group where you could check her location and you will never be able to guess where she'll be at. Like she'll be at the Dollar Tree at 1 p.m. and then she'll be at a hardware store at 3 p.m. Then she'll be at the beach at 4 and then she's somehow on a whale watching yacht tour at 5 p.m. Like you just never know. And maybe you're not somebody who likes to always be doing something like that, but it's important for you to recognize I do have free will, right? If you're bored in certain loops, if you're unhappy with certain loops within your life, it's important to even just do one thing different. Go somewhere different. Allow yourself to remember, I have free will. I am not a victim to the cruel and mean cosmos, to this cruel and mean universe. Yes, there's things that are happening that are dense. There are things that are happening that are intense. Eclipse season is eclipse seasoning. There are things that are out of my control. But let me remind myself that I do have control of some things. And I can make this day whatever it is that I want it to be. When's the last time I went whale watching? Let me go do that. Sometimes it's good to just shake it up, just to remind yourself that every day is an opportunity to experience something different, to experience something novel. That could be helpful to quell restlessness or boredom, or it can be helpful to quell suffering. If you're moving through something challenging, to just remind yourself things can change at any moment. And so great day to shake it up, do something random. Okay, be the friend on Find My Friends who is whale watching at 6 p.m. Who knows? But you could find you feel a little restless on Saturday. Your emotions could feel all over the place. You may have a hard time sleeping, but the moon is void after it squares off with Uranus. On Sunday, September 29th, the moon enters Virgo at 2:49 a.m. PDT, which does end the void. And this is a very Sunday to handle the tasks and the projects that you need to get done around the home. If you've been meaning to paint the cupboard, if you've been meaning to deep clean, like I've said, waning crescent moons can be great to release excess stuff from the home. Great day to take it on. The energy of Virgo moon helps us be detail oriented, helps us attune us to the tasks and what needs to get done. The Virgo moon also sextiles Venus and Scorpio, so there's an eye towards beautifying, right? Also renovating with the energy of Venus Scorpio if you have something around the home or any arena of life that you want to transform or upcycle or something of that nature. And you also have this really productive energy aligning for you Sunday evening with Mars in Cancer trining Saturn in Pisces. And this extends far beyond Sunday. You could really just find that your weekend is coated with this productive energy and even moving into early next week. You know, with Mars in Cancer, it is definitely guided by our emotions and intuition around what feels in alignment. But with the trine to Saturn, we're really wanting to do things in a very patient way. We're wanting to build something with a solid foundation. We're really wanting to streamline our energy and our attention in order to get something done efficiently but shrewdly. So just know that you have access to that energy on Sunday night as well. Editing Haley here. Please excuse the brief interruption. I wanted to pop in because I felt cute. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to a friend's birthday dinner after I finished editing, but that's not why I popped in at all. I wanted to build upon Mars in Cancer trine Saturn in Pisces because I believe that this is an astrological exemplification, that the more that we nurture the now, Mars in Cancer, the more we align ourselves to the future that we are in co-creation with the divine to create, Saturn in Pisces. And allowing your intuition and your emotional landscape to guide the way towards what actions you are feeling called to prioritize or what aspects of your own sacred reality or your projects that you're feeling called towards. And just knowing that you don't have to have it all figured out right now. Like I know a lot of this week's astrology is around manifesting and getting creative and thinking about what you may want to experience, but just know your responsibility is in the present moment. Just nurturing yourself, taking care of yourself and all that you hold dear within this moment, and continually getting excited about what it is that you're building and what it is that these sustained actions are going to build up to create, but also knowing that you don't need to get ahead of yourself. The more that you take care of this particular moment and what it's calling of you, the more that your future is aligning on your behalf. So just wanted to share that. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week is I embolden and explore new potentials and new possibilities. With the energy of Mercury making these harmonious aspects and Mars trining Saturn and we're in the eclipse window, there's forward momentum. But a lot of times when we have this forward momentum, a lot of times we could just experience it as chaos, and in our mind equate chaos equals bad, and then even wanting to backpedal or backslide into the past, right? But it's important to know that life moves in one direction, and that is forward. And it's important to evolve with it rather than decline into past iterations of your life and past iterations of yourself where you don't live there anymore. There's a need to kind of allow yourself to go with the flow of life and to play with this energy. I used to have this piece of art and it said, you can grab the handlebars if you like the illusion of control, but it's much more fun to allow the wind to carry you. Truly, to a certain degree, to a larger extent, control is an illusion. And that can terrify you with Mercury opposite Neptune, contemplating all the worst case scenarios, or that can just give you permission to just let go. Allow yourself to be carried by the wind and allow yourself to play in that space of creativity around, I'm being carried, my life feels up in the air. How can I play with this creative pulse of the universe and allow myself to be carried by the wind and see new possibilities around me and see new potentials? You know, a lot of times if we're allowing the wind to carry us, there could be a feeling of panic, wanting to grip to the handlebars, wanting to come back down to earth. But the energy of eclipses, it's taking us somewhere different, right? It's taking us to a new location, and we could panic, we could hold onto the handlebars, or we could just see where we end up and co-create with the universe. Getting curious and excited of what's to come and what versions of ourselves we are yet to meet. So we are in a little bit of a transition. You know, eclipse season, like I said, can be a little wonky. I will be totally forthright. I don't know if anyone could notice throughout the course of this video, but I myself am pretty wonky today. I did not sleep last night. I pulled an all-nighter, and I swear all-nighters always give you that sensation around like, what is real? What is happening? Life kind of feels like a dream, and that's kind of the vibe that I'm even tapping into with this astrology outside of my lack of sleep. Like even just with this astrology, it's like what's real, what's not. And so even if you are sleeping plenty, which lots of us may be because it's eclipse season, so we tend to be a little bit more drained, there just could be the sensation around that vibe after an all-nighter where you're like, what's real? What's happening? Who am I? And that could be like, who am I? What's happening? Or it could be like, who am I? What's happening? I'm not going to take it so seriously. I'm going to have fun while I'm in this particular tornado of my life, or as much fun as I possibly can, right? So if you made it to the end of the horoscope, you can let me know by commenting the tornado emoji below or using the word tornado within a sentence. Thank you for bearing with me and my all-nighter brain. I'm definitely going to sleep very well tonight. And I think I also needed this encouragement just of Mercury and Virgo, trine Uranus. A lot of times we can feel like life is always going to be this way, but I think with Mercury, trine Uranus, it's continuing to envision new possibilities. Like there is a world out there where I don't have to pull all-nighters to get everything done. Like I think I could find a balance within my workload and within my life in which this does not have to be part of my reality semi-regularly. Because sometimes when you're so swallowed in your reality or in your workload or in your problems or whatever it is, it's hard to envision solutions, right? Because you're so in it. But it does exist. Like I am believing in a world where I have a more balanced workload. That exists. And I want to meet that version of myself who has that balanced workload. I am committed to meeting her. And committed to her getting lots of sleep. 8 hours a night, preferably. Make sure to put in your calendars that not the Monday this week, but the Monday next week, the 30th at 4 p.m. PDT, I will be having a live stream here on the channel to celebrate Haley Comet Astrology's birthday. It'll be our cosmic cocktail hour, so bring a beverage and come celebrate. So until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay cosmic.